We had an idea that we really wanted to do something to support visual artists making new ideas in historic spaces. So I came to speak with Emma Thomas at Seaton Delaval Hall, and we developed this idea to shortlist 8 emerging artists each year and mentor and support them to produce new ideas.
Seaton Delaval Hall's history is very much as a place of drama, a place of theatre. The Delaval family, who became known as the Gay Delavals, were also known as benefactors, as patrons of the arts, as well as being interested in painting and interested in theatre themselves. So there's a strong history at Seaton Delaval Hall for working with artists and being involved with different art forms. So I think for us, the North East Emerging Artists Award is part of that long history.
So the focus for this project is people who really are early career. They might have just come out of art school, or they might have just left a job and started a creative career. So this is aimed at them, and it's aimed at giving them some mentoring, support and a structure really, where they can take a small idea and expand it and grow it and deliver it at a larger scale at Seaton Delaval Hall.
I made a film that is exploring the different parts of the hall's past and all the transformations that it has contained over the centuries. So I've been exploring the family of the Delavals and their period living in the house and the destruction of the fire where the roof burnt down and what happened when the nature came back and re-inhabited the hall, and the bats that then came to live in the hall after that, all the way up to the National Trust coming to the building.
I'm undertaking a PhD, and it's called Design Through Play, and I'm looking at the whole idea of engaging people, particularly young people and children, in art and design. And the idea was to look at the architecture and the architect and the whole idea of what was trying to be achieved on the site, and engage the public in a playful way to understand the entire Delaval estate.
So the work we've done is around decolonising in some small way the hall. So we have a series of photographs and an audio piece. I made the audio piece, and Dami here did the photography under, I guess, my instruction.
I just wanted to kind of capture the essence of each individual person, so kind of the locations matched the person and who they were and who we've gotten to know them as. And I think when we were taking the photos during that day, it just felt, moment after moment, just kind of heartwarming and wholesome. It was just like an amazing opportunity, I think, to be able to show our faces and taking up space across the beautiful landscape that it is, but also knowing that when you see so many black and brown faces like today, and hopefully they'll continue, it's kind of like this is what we've created and this was the goal.
They have to learn about the parameters of working with a historic building, because we have to be very careful with the fabric of the building, make sure we don't harm anything or impact on any of the surfaces. So there's a lot of support that comes as well from the staff in terms of how you work in a historic property.
It's been amazing for me because it's given me this kind of purpose just straight out of university, made me believe that maybe this is possible for me to be an artist and to have this as a career. It's pretty amazing. I think it came at a point that I really needed it. It's meant that I've met loads of people, made great working relationships with people that are kind of future collaborators and stuff, which is just like invaluable. It's been a really amazing experience.
The process of the North East Emerging Artist Award has given me like a chance to do something a bit more large scale and work with like a National Trust site. I think it's amazing, especially being from up north. I don't really get as many opportunities as being down south, so it's really nice to represent the North East and be selected by this site and yourself to come and do something special and really work on something a bit bigger and have more time and thought and support. So
it was a really wonderful learning experience to kind of organise, direct, perform in and co-edit this piece. That was really a first experience for me to make a work that isn't live. So that was really wonderful, and I was really happy to have that space and to have the resources to pull that together.
What I thought was really nice is that you at the hall and Matthew let us be individual on it. There was not so much input, so it meant that we could have an actual authentic piece of work that didn't feel like we had eyes on us.
In our first year, we worked with photography, we worked with sound, worked with architecture, and we worked with dance. So I think for visitors coming to the hall, they got to experience a whole range of different approaches. And I think contemporary arts practice really contains all those different ways of working. It's not just painting and sculpture, it's artists working with all sorts of materials. And I think that's the really wonderful thing about Seaton Delaval Hall. It's a great canvas for presenting that sort of contemporary work in a historic setting.
The 70 pewter bats represent the amount of bats that have been found nesting in the walls of Seaton Delaval Hall, which is the largest winter roost of pipistrelle bats in the UK. Each bat began as a 3D scan, so it was like it's life-size to an actual pipistrelle, and then that's been made into a silicon mould and then cast of recycled pewter, which is made up of disused UK manufactured tableware. It's been really nice to create like a work on a large scale, but also on a small scale where each of these bats I cast in my kitchen and polished by hand and kind of like did it all without workshop access really.
They are wall hangings or textile quilts made entirely from 100% recycled or upcycled end-of-life fabrics. The one that I'm standing in front of is very much about the volunteers, and it's thinking about the grounds and the people that cultivate it and keep it looking as beautiful as it does. The one in the middle is more about the people that visit. It's made predominantly out of the lost property materials that I was given. That one's entirely handmade. And then the one at the end is more relating to National Trust as a whole. The background shapes are a blown up version of the National Trust logo. The screen print on top of that quilt is a reinterpretation of a pattern found on Cardinal Wolsey's purse, which is part of the archival collection here.
I've already written a piece about Seaton Delaval Hall already for a different project, and that was great. I got to look into the history of the place, but I kind of thought, well, I've done that already. I can't write another piece about the history. So let me think about Seaton Delaval Hall in the future. What's it going to be like in 10 years, 50 years, 100 years, 1,000, 10,000?
See, normal procedure goes, you get one of my special post-it notes. Then you write down an impossible question on it and post it to me. Then I get cracking inventing an impossible invention to answer your impossible question.
So it's a bit sci-fi-esque in the thinking, but it's just having a sort of play in what sort of will remain and getting people also to share their hopes of what they hope will remain too.
And that was the futures. I'll take those off of you. What did you think? Just one impossible machine's impossible idea of the future.
The work that I've done here is a big wig that people are welcome to sit underneath. Make it look like they're wearing. It's inspired by visually a lot of the architecture of the hall and also the crazy flamboyant parties that they used to have. So the frame of the wig is all made out of these wooden reeds, and then over the top of that it's old tights, stockings, wig caps. And then on top of that, we have some nettles that have been processed. You strip the nettles and then you kind of have these fibres that come off. You plait them or you can weave them in a way and it becomes this quite strong, malleable rope. So it's basically the inners of nettles tied, plaited together to look like hair. And then we have reclaimed wigs that I got from local drag queens around the area who were just going to throw these wigs away, and then I just repurposed them.
The work is a representation of one of the paintings I found here of Elizabeth Delaval. Elizabeth's holding a medieval lyre harp. I took the original structure of a medieval lyre harp and then built it into more of a kind of future contemporary looking sculpture. It's activated by the wind, and also you can pluck it or play it like a traditional lyre harp, and work with sound sculpture and things like this. So I thought I would do live sound sculpture derived from the painting. I was also looking into different tuning systems and things like that, looking at like medieval tuning systems and just experimenting with the instrument. Really, it's like quite experimental, so I didn't know exactly how was going to sound, I could only like guess. I like to create instruments just from a place of exploration, really, and it's all quite improvised. Every day I come and tune it in a different way, record it and make compositions out of that to be played in the space or to perform with. It's kind of beautiful because it's ever changing.
My work is called Delaval Ware, and it is a 52-piece collection using upcycled ceramics and porcelain paint. So all of the pieces are entirely hand painted with really thin brushes or even kind of cocktail sticks to get that really small detail. And it was about looking at the female family members, and I saw some portraits by Rhoda and of Rhoda. Delaval, as in the oldest sibling of the 12 more infamous Delavals. She was an artist herself, and that she'd kind of studied under Arthur Pond, and then some of her paintings were attributed to him or other male artists of the time. And just being an artist myself, I found that quite frustrating on her behalf. So I thought to just look into that a little bit more and then look at the whole female family line. Rhoda was always my number one figure, so I wanted to look at the other members and kind of their significance within the bloodline. I spent a lot of time looking at the objects in the collection store or throughout the west wing, up in the bedroom and the upside down room, looking at kind of wallpapers, the bedding that's in the central bedroom, the wig kind of design in the wallpaper there. Just taking all of the visual references and kind of bringing that together. So the bedding with the red figures, and there's kind of a nice arrangement of flowers around there. I purposely lifted that one and put that on the largest plate that I've got.
My name's Wilfred Barton Sears, and the title of the work is Seaton Stones. 6 separate carvings, all equating to one sculptural work. The subject of each carving relates to occupants throughout the history of the building. You have a swan, which is, to me, symbolic to the White Lady and the story of. You have a jackdaw, which relates to a history of the fire. You have a mole, ever present, but also is to do with both the grounds and the history of the building. You have a shovel, which is for the gardeners and the effect that they've had on this place over the history, and the deer, which is symbolic for the family's Norman heritage. And you have bats, which relate to the occupants of the building.
My name's Joanna Manousis, and the title of my piece is Dust and Diamonds. It's been really fantastic to make a site-specific work with the National Trust for Seaton Delaval Hall to look at the histories of the hall, the individuals that added to that history. Essentially, it's an installation that's looking at the materials that fueled the family wealth, which was coal mining, salt production and bottle glass. So in this beer cellar, I have an oversized salt shaker, which is made in core cast glass. It's been cast in pale gelatin-coloured glasses, so it looks like the topiary jellies that they would have had in their lavish banquets. It's cast with the negative space of coal chunks inside that look like salt crystals. So you've got there the glass, the salt and the coal all embodied in one piece. Conjoining that salt shaker is this disco ball, which is taking the exact shape of the finial on the roof at the hall, which is lovingly named Pepper Pot, so salt and pepper. This is shedding light on the glass piece, so it's kind of like a feedback loop, the materials that fueled their theatrical, lavish lifestyles.
From a visitor perspective, I'm guessing that a lot of our visitors are coming for a great family day out, and some of them aren't expecting to see these contemporary art installations. But I think we've been really delighted on how visitors have engaged with the process. One of the great things that the project enables is that people can look at the 8 proposals and they can actually vote for their favourite. And we've seen lots of examples of couples and families having real interesting debates about their favourite proposals before they cast their vote. So that process is a really engaging one, so that everybody gets a say in which 3 proposals are selected each year.
Last year, about 70% of the people who came on site voted as part of the North East Emerging Artists Award, which is a fantastic result, people coming in and finding out about the artist proposals and then hopefully coming back and seeing the finished artworks.
It feels like a foot into the professional art world, which is something I was feeling quite alien in, to be honest, when I left art school. But after completing this project, it's oh, this is something that's not out of reach and something I can achieve.